Welcome to Episode 44, Incident Response Expectations for I1, where we set clear ground rules that reduce chaos when something goes wrong. Clarity matters, because the first hour of an incident is noisy and guesswork slows containment. Expectations define who decides, which steps run first, and what good looks like at each stage. They also keep security, operations, legal, and leadership aligned so actions do not conflict. Think about a phishing-driven account takeover. Without shared expectations, resets, notifications, and log preservation can collide. With expectations, each move happens in order and is recorded for later review. The outcome is faster control, fewer side effects, and evidence that stands up under audit. By treating incident response as a practiced service rather than a heroic effort, teams turn panic into procedure.
Roles, on-call, and escalation paths make response predictable and humane. A responder or incident commander coordinates actions and timeboxes decisions. Technical leads for identity, endpoints, applications, networks, and cloud join as needed, while communications and legal roles handle stakeholders. On-call schedules must be published, compensated, and supported with playbooks that reduce cognitive load at 2 in the morning. Escalation is automatic when acknowledgements lag, moving alerts to backups without blame. Handovers between shifts rely on the ticket's timeline, so context persists. Leadership has a defined entry point to request status without pulling people off keyboards. When roles and escalations are practiced, fatigue drops and quality rises, because decisions land in the right hands fast. Containment strategies for accounts and endpoints limit damage while investigation proceeds. For accounts, options include forced sign-out, multi-factor resets, credential rotation, and privilege lockdown with just-in-time regrants when work must continue. For endpoints, choices range from network isolation through an EDR console to full device quarantine, with exceptions for critical systems that need tailored controls. Containment should be reversible, documented, and proportional to risk, so it does not create more outage than the incident itself. Playbooks list triggers like confirmed token theft or malware execution and match them to specific actions. Each move records who approved it and which assets were touched. By separating containment from eradication, teams buy time to think clearly. The principle is simple: stop the bleeding first, then treat the wound. Remediation and patch verification steps remove root causes rather than only symptoms. If an exploit path relied on a missing patch or weak configuration, the fix must land everywhere the same condition exists. Tickets link scan findings, patch deployments, and configuration changes so progress is visible and auditable. After remediation, rescans and functional checks confirm the fix took and did not break critical services. Credentials and secrets that may have been exposed are rotated with priority for privileged accounts and machine identities. Where feasible, additional controls like application allow listing or tightened firewall rules reduce the chance of repeat abuse. Documentation lists what changed, where, and under which approval. By pairing remediation with verification, teams close loops and prevent drift back to the vulnerable state. Recovery, validation, and service restoration prove the environment is safe to reopen. Validation starts with health checks on dependencies, then controlled reintroduction of traffic using canaries or phased rollouts. Synthetic tests exercise key user journeys to catch regressions before customers do. Monitoring thresholds may be temporarily tightened to watch for relapse, with clear criteria for stepping back to normal. If data was affected, integrity checks and reconciliations confirm correctness, and stakeholders approve the return to business operations. A short stability window keeps responders close until signals are quiet. The final step updates the ticket with objective results, not only subjective comfort. Recovery is complete when systems are stable and evidence shows it. Communications keep trust while work proceeds. Internal updates go to responders and leadership on a predictable cadence with plain statements of what happened, what is being done, risks, and next milestones. Customer or partner communications favor clarity over speculation and avoid technical jargon that masks uncertainty. If regulated data or services are affected, notices follow the applicable timing and content expectations coordinated with legal and compliance. A single source of truth, often a status page or central note, prevents divergent messages. Spokespeople are identified in advance to reduce noise. Records of what was said and when are preserved alongside technical evidence. Good communications calm people and create space for responders to work. Legal considerations and counsel involvement protect the organization while enabling decisive action. Counsel advises on notification duties, preservation requirements, contracts with partners, and regulatory expectations that vary by jurisdiction. They help define when an internal event crosses into a legally defined breach and when law enforcement engagement is appropriate. Legal also reviews customer messaging to ensure accuracy and reduce the risk of later contradictions. Privilege may apply to certain investigative work. If so, roles and repositories are set accordingly from the start. Contracts with vendors are checked for support obligations and joint responsibilities. Clear coordination with legal prevents well-meant steps from creating new exposure. The goal is not to slow response, but to guide it. Lessons learned and corrective actions turn pain into progress. A short, structured review asks what happened, why it mattered, how we detected, what worked, what failed, and what we will change. Root causes are framed as system issues, gaps in detection, controls, training, or process, not blame on individuals. Corrective actions are small, specific, and assigned owners and dates, then tracked to completion in the same system as the incident. Metrics capture whether similar alerts are handled faster next time or avoided altogether. Sharing summaries with nearby teams spreads learning without oversharing sensitive details. Over months, these cycles raise confidence and shrink dwell time. Improvement is measured by quieter weeks and shorter recoveries. Tabletop cadence and scenario coverage build muscle memory before real pressure arrives. Tabletop exercises run quarterly or on a cadence that fits risk, with rotating scenarios like account compromise, ransomware on endpoints, cloud misconfiguration, and vendor breach. Each session practices roles, decisions, evidence handling, and communications in a no-fault setting. Scenarios include realistic constraints, such as missing logs, conflicting signals, or a holiday freeze. Outcomes are captured as action items with owners, just like real incidents. Short micro-drills between tabletops keep skills fresh, such as a 15-minute exercise on containment approvals. Over time, coverage expands to include time zone handoffs and third-party coordination. Practice turns checklists into reflex. Documentation, tickets, and repository hygiene make the program auditable and usable. The incident ticket is the spine of the record, holding timeline, decisions, attachments, and approvals. Linked runbooks, playbooks, and policy documents live in a tidy repository with version history and clear owners. Evidence is stored in labeled folders with consistent naming, and access to these materials is controlled and logged. Periodic housekeeping removes stale drafts and merges duplicates so responders find what they need quickly. Dashboards summarize open actions, response times, and recurring causes. When documentation is organized, new responders come up to speed faster and audits move quickly. Clean records signal a mature, dependable practice. A reliable, auditable incident handling posture feels calm even when the day is not. Expectations are written and rehearsed, categories and severities guide pace, and triage channels signals into a single thread of work. Roles, containment, forensics, remediation, and recovery follow practiced steps, while communications keep stakeholders informed without disruption. Legal guidance is present but not heavy. Lessons learned feed improvements, and exercises keep skills sharp. Documentation and evidence are produced as a byproduct of doing the work well, not as an extra burden. That is the I1 spirit: clear, humane, accountable response that protects people, data, and services when it matters most.